The last video I showed you guys how to do the granny stitch in rows, and this time I will be showing you how to do the granny square stitch in the rounds. So if you have been struggling to make your granny squares, this will be a great place for you to start. For this granny square we will be using 4 different colors, one for each round. I will also be showing you how to attach a different color yarn to start off each round. For the purpose of this tutorial, I will be using these 4 colors. These are the standard size 4-ply acrylic yarn. You can use any yarn that you have available, but it has to be 4 different colors. I will also be using a pair of craft scissors, a 4mm crochet hook, and a darning needle to weave in the ends. I will begin with a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 4. The first chain will act as a magic circle, which we will be working our first round of stitches into, and the next 3 chains will act as a double crochet stitch. For round 1, I'm going to skip the last 3 chains, and into the first chain I will work 2 double crochet stitches. To do a double crochet, yarn over and insert your hook into the first chain, yarn over and pull a loop through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull a loop through the first 2 loops, 2 loops remaining on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. We're going to work 1 more double crochet in the same first chain. Now we have 3 double crochets in the same stitch, which is also known as half of a shell. From this point we will be chaining 2 to form the first corner of our granny square. Now into the same chain 1 stitch we're going to work 3 double crochets. Okay, now we're going to chain 2 for the second corner of our granny square. After that we're going to work 3 double crochets into the same chain 1 in the center. Okay, now we're going to create the third corner of our granny square by chaining 2. Now we're going to work 3 double crochets into the same stitch in the center. Now we're going to create the fourth corner of our granny square by chaining 2, and we're going to join the round by working a slip stitch into the top of the fourth chain. I'm going to insert my hook into both loops at the top of that fourth chain, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull a loop through and pull that loop into the loop on my hook. I'm going to be switching to my second color, so I will chain 1 and fasten off. I'm just going to get my scissors and cut off the excess yarn, leaving a little bit of tail to weave in the end. So here we have the first round of our granny square completed. We have 4 clusters of 3 double crochet stitches and a chain 2 in between each of the clusters to form the corners of the square. Okay, I'm going to get my second color yarn, which is the light brown, and I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I'm going to insert my hook into any one of the chain 2 spaces. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull a loop through that chain 2 space and pull through the slip knot on my hook. Now my second yarn is attached to my granny square. Round 2, we're going to chain 3, which will count as our first double crochet, and then we're going to work 2 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space. So yarn over and work 2 double crochets into the same chain 2 space. Now we chain 2 and work 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space. Okay, our first corner of the granny square is done. Now we're going to skip the next 3 double crochet stitches and into the second corner or the chain 2 space we're going to work 3 double crochet stitches. Now we're going to chain 2 and work 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space to form the second corner of our granny square. After that, we're going to be skipping the next 3 double crochets. We won't be making any chains. Into the next chain 2 space, we're going to work 3 double crochets. Followed by a chain of 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space to form the third corner of our granny square. Okay, so far we have 3 corners of our granny square completed, and we will need to make one more to complete this round. Remember, we're not going to be making any chains on the sides of our granny squares. It's only at the corners where we have our chain 2 space. So we're going to skip the next 3 double crochets, and into that last chain 2 space we're going to work 3 double crochets. Followed by a chain of 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space. Okay, our fourth corner of the square is done. Now we're going to skip the next 3 double crochets and work a slip stitch into the top of the third chain to complete round 2. From here we're going to chain 1 and fasten off. Round 3 we will be switching to our third color yarn, so go ahead and fasten off and grab the new color. I've got my third color yarn, which is the orange color, attached to my hook with a slip knot. Now I'm going to insert my hook into the chain 2 space, yarn over and pull a loop through and into the slip knot on my hook. Now my third color yarn is attached to my granny square. To begin round 3, I'm going to chain 3, which will count as my first double crochet, and I'm going to work 2 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space, followed by a chain 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space. Remember, we won't be making any chains on the side of our granny squares. Instead, we will be working 3 double crochets into each of the gaps in between the clusters of 3 double crochet stitches. So skip the next 3 double crochet stitch and into the gap work 3 double crochet stitches. Now we skip the next 3 double crochet stitches and into the second corner or chain 2 space we're going to work 3 double crochet stitches followed by a chain of 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space. Okay, skip the next 3 double crochet stitches and into the gap in between the cluster work 3 double crochet stitches. Now we skip the next 3 double crochet stitches and into the third corner or the chain 2 space we will work 3 double crochet stitches followed by a chain of 2 and 3 more double crochet stitches into the same chain 2 space. We will repeat this pattern until we reach the end of the round or square. I've made it back to the first corner of my granny square. Now I'm going to join with a slip stitch on top of the third chain. Okay, round 3 is complete. We chain 1 and fasten off. Cut off the excess yarn and grab the 4th color. Once you've got your 4th color yarn attached to your hook, insert your hook into any one of the chain 2 spaces at the corner and join with a slip stitch. Now we're going to be repeating the same pattern as we did in round 3. I'll start it off with you and then I'll let you finish the rest. So we're going to chain 3, which will count as our first double crochet, and then we're going to work 2 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space, followed by a chain of 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space. Now we skip the next 3 double crochets and into the next gap we'll work 3 double crochet stitches. Now we're going to skip the next 3 double crochet stitches and into the next gap work 3 double crochet stitches. Again, we're going to skip the next 3 double crochet stitches and into the chain 2 space at the corner work 3 double crochet stitches, followed by a chain of 2 and 3 more double crochet stitches into the same chain 2 space. Keep repeating this pattern until you reach the first corner of the granny square. I'm at the end of my granny square. Now I'm going to work a slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, chain 1, and then I'm going to fasten off. Okay, so this is how your granny square should look like at the end of round 4. If you're going to be making a bigger project like a blanket or a cardigan, you will need to repeat more rounds of this granny square. Simply repeat the same pattern until you reach the size that you want. I'm going to be attaching this piece with my other squares to make a purse with. Let me know in the comments below what you will be making with your granny squares. If you have learned something new from this video, please leave a like and comment below, and subscribe to my channel if you are not yet already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy stitching!
Let's go!